Have y'all seen this? Somebody on this show has a genetic condition, and I bet y'all didn't even catch it. Welcome to She Knows DNA. My name is Miavana, and I am a board certified genetic counselor. Okay, listen, if you watch the show Paradise, especially this newest season, then there was a scene to where there was this professor that was at his place, and he had his wife, and his wife was really sick looking and bedridden, right? And he said that she has a genetic condition. So you know what I did. I said the people need to know. So with that being said, let's get into it. Let's talk about Huntington disease. Huntington's disease, or HD, is defined as a fatal genetic disorder that causes the progressive breakdown of nerve cells in the brain. It deteriorates a person's physical and mental abilities, usually during their prime working years, and has no cure. The neurons in the part of our brain that is in charge of movement and coordination begin to deteriorate, essentially, to where they are very weak and they do not work properly. Thus, it makes things go downhill from there. Genetics-wise, there is a gene that we all have that's called HTT. It is located on chromosome 4. What's happening is that whenever we think of DNA, we think of the letters A's, T's, C's, and G's. There is 3 of those letters, CAG, that repeat itself in the DNA of the HTT gene. Now, this is normal. We all have about 27 or lower for those number of repeats, but when it gets too long, that's when things go crazy, and that is how someone ends up with Huntington disease. A way some doctors describe Huntington is like having ALS, Parkinson, and Alzheimer's at the same time. That's crazy. Symptoms of this condition can include things like chorea, which is involuntary movement and jerking. There are problems with the balance, walking, talking, swallowing. There can be trouble thinking, multitasking, memory issues, learning issues, being angry or irritable, having hallucinations, being delusional for some things, anxiety, depression, and much more. Huntington is a progressive disorder, meaning that everything is not going to happen at once. A person who is affected may start seeing symptoms around 30 to 50 years of age. They'll start seeing those little signs of coordination issues or speaking issues. And then it goes downhill and gets way worse from there. Unfortunately, once a person does start having symptoms and showing signs of Huntington, the lifespan is about another maybe 15 to 20 years before they pass away. Usually people with Huntington either pass away from suicide or even having a lung infection like pneumonia. When talking about the DNA repeats in the gene HTT, based off of how long it is, then that is what's going to determine if someone is going to be completely unaffected with this condition, if they have a intermediate or milder form, or even if they full on have it. Now, there is also an even worse possibility there, and that is associated with juvenile Huntington disease. So regular Huntington is considered an adult onset, but if that repeat gets way too long, then yes, unfortunately, this can happen with children. Not only are they getting these symptoms at a younger age, but it progresses way more rapidly than the adult onset, and they pass away even earlier. So about maybe 8 to 10 years after that child starts to have symptoms. HD is an autosomal dominant type of inheritance condition, meaning that yes, we have 2 copies of that gene, but you just need one of them to have way too long of the DNA in that gene that causes it to act up in order to have this condition. So if a person does have this condition, then every last one of their children have a 50% chance of either getting passed down that non-working copy of that gene or completely being unaffected. There's 2 different avenues that person takes in order to get diagnosed with Huntington disease. There is one avenue for someone that's already showing symptoms. So then at that point, it's like trying to figure out what is causing those symptoms, where genetic testing or even maybe getting MRIs of the brain may help. Then on the flip side, there is predictive testing, meaning that let's say a person knows that they have a family history of Huntington, yet they are not exhibiting symptoms. That one is gonna not be so straightforward. That's gonna take multiple appointments, and we even make them go through multiple assessments, like going to a neurologist or even having a mental assessment, making sure that they have supports, not just by themselves, but even everyone around them, before we even talk about doing genetic testing for them. Something else that we consider is autonomy. Whenever someone has these devastating conditions, it can do a lot, not only for that person that's affected, but their family members. So we find that there are some family members that never want to get tested to ever see if they have Huntington. But there are situations to where, let's say grandpa we know had Huntington, then his daughter doesn't want to know, but then her son, let's just say, that's an adult, wants to get tested. And basically, based off of his results, it can technically tell them what the results of the mom would be. For instance, if he has Huntington, then that means mom has Huntington. But remember, mom doesn't want to know. So things can get a little bit tricky, and it's understandable. Long story short, for one, on Paradise, hopefully this helps you understand what that scientist was talking about as far as the journey with his wife's condition. And number two, I have learned so much as being a genetic counselor. There's some things that I find rewarding and great to learn, and there's other things that I find devastating. And let me tell you, to this day, Huntington is one of those conditions that I think will scar me forever. Seeing families that are either someone they know has Huntington, or they're even the caregiver, or let's say there's a family to where dad had it, he passed away, and now there's definitely a possibility that the kids have it. Like, it's just, it does so much, y'all. It's a crazy, sad condition, truly. So I'm gonna leave that right there. And now to leave you with words of wisdom. I was watching this other video one day, and they were having a funeral for the fish, right? It reminded me of when we were younger. LJ had many fishes, but the first one he had was named Oscar. It was named Oscar, and then Oscar died. Oscar number one died, and so we had a funeral for him in the backyard. And I laughed. LJ, he was giving his speech and started to tear up, and I laughed. I looked over Keela and glaring at me, and I look over the other side, Mama glaring at me like, Mia, shut up. And I just want to say, with wisdom, LJ, I'm so sorry for laughing at Oscar number one's funeral. I mean that genuinely. I do. And I'm going to just say it at that because, y'all, I want to say more, but I'm trying to be wise. You know, I'm 30. So that's the wisdom. Apologize to your siblings whenever their pet died and you was laughing. Apologize to them. I'm sorry, Oscar number one. May you rest in peace. Well, that's all I have for y'all. Thank you so much for supporting She Knows DNA. Please feel free to like, comment, subscribe. Jesus. And share my videos. Do so, Shay. You know they're gonna ask for you. Come on. I already know. Where is O'Shea? Where is Mark Flavius? He is here, y'all. That's my child, my son. I'm very proud of him. That's right. If y'all have any topics and things that you would like me to cover, please let me know. But otherwise, God bless you. May He keep you. And I'll see you next time. All right. Bye.